Here's something cool that scientists have discovered recently: Schrödinger's black holes. Yep, the scariest objects in our universe turned out to be even more terrifying. Now, we know that they can also exist in many states at once. But what does it mean? Let's find out. Black holes are mysterious titans of our universe. Sometimes it feels like the more we learn about them, the less we know. We discovered them quite recently, in the 20th century, and since then, we've been finding various black holes all over the universe. Their sizes range from the size of a small town to horrifyingly unimaginable. But their most important feature is probably their huge mass. And that's where a recent study comes to play. Scientists have discovered that black holes have very unusual quantum properties. They found out that each black hole can be both large and small, light and heavy, no longer living and alive. Well, maybe except for the last part. Let's hope that there aren't actually any living black holes. That would be great. But the main point of the discovery is that each black hole can be in all possible states at the same time. It sounds weird, doesn't it? What is it actually supposed to mean? Well, the ability to be everything at the same time isn't a new concept in science. This is what physicists call a superposition, or, to put it simply, a state of uncertainty. Quantum physicists discovered this first in tiny quantum particles. They noticed a very strange thing. As long as we don't observe a particle, it literally exists in all states at the same time. And only when we start interacting with it, for example, looking at it, measuring it, or just doing something, only then does the particle decide what state it should be in. Here's an example of this. Imagine that you have a ball in a box. You don't know what it looks like, and the thing is, as long as it stays in the box, the ball is all colors at the same time. Only when you take it out of the box does it finally choose one color. All this happens instantly, so you don't notice it. For you, the ball has always been blue. Sounds pretty scary, right?
What?
And it raises a lot of questions. For example, how do these particles understand that we're observing them? How do they decide which state to be in? And what does our world really look like if we only see what is shown to us? Of course, this discovery caused a huge stir in the scientific community. No wonder, it does sound a bit unusual. That's what physicist Erwin Schrödinger also thought at the beginning of the 20th century. The ideas of quantum theories seemed delusional to him. That's why he decided to challenge them. He conducted a famous experiment. You've probably heard about it, even if you don't know anything about science at all. Yep, the infamous experiment with Schrödinger's cat. So, what was the point of the experiment? First of all, we have a box and a cat. In the box, there's a container with toxic gas and a special mechanism. Every hour, there's a 50% chance that this mechanism will either open the gas container or not. If it happens, the poisonous gas will be released and the poor cat won't make it. If this doesn't happen, the cat will remain alive and well. Don't worry, this was a purely hypothetical experiment. No cats were harmed in the process. But let's imagine that we did lock a cat in a box and waited for an hour. It's time to check the result. And here's where we get close to the most interesting part. How do you think this situation would end in our regular world? Well, probably within an hour, the container would either open or not, and that would be the moment sealing the cat's fate. After that, we just need to open the lid to find out the answer. But in quantum physics, everything is much stranger. According to it, until we open the box, the cat inside would be both alive and not alive at the same time. In other words, the universe itself doesn't know what to do with this cat. As if the poor animal is on the verge of two worlds inside the box. And when you open the lid, the universe will select a random result of the experiment. So why do we do all this to a poor kitty? Well, initially, Erwin Schrödinger wanted to show how stupid it all sounded, but then he accidentally proved that quantum physicists were right. The situation turned out to be pretty funny. It went like this. Ha ha ha, these quantum physicists have no idea what they're talking about. According to their logic, the cat in my box should be both alive and not alive at the same time. Wait, hold on. Uh-oh. They're right. Schrödinger received the Nobel Prize in 1933, even though it wasn't for this discovery. And in 2022, 3 more scientists received the Nobel Prize for another discovery in this field.
Thank you.
These scientists were Alan Aspect, John F. Clauser, and Anton Zeilinger. They got it for their experiments that involved entangled quantum states. What does all this tell us? Guess now we'll have to look for explanations in some kind of quantum mechanical magic. Unfortunately, humanity isn't developed well enough to test any of these theories, yet. But we have many cool assumptions. For example, the theory of parallel universes is one of the attempts to explain this phenomenon. Remember that ball in the box? Basically, according to the theory of the multiverse, there's an infinite number of different realities. So if you don't know what the ball looks like, it kind of exists in this interdimensional, uncertain state. But when you open the box and look at the ball, you get transported to a random reality. For example, to the one where it's blue. It sounds pretty incredible, but still exciting. Alright, but why do we need all this info now? Why is it connected to the recent discovery? You see, scientists thought, if teeny tiny particles in our universe behave like this, then what about some giant space objects? And so, they decided to direct their devices not into the microcosm, but into distant space. American and Israeli theoretical physicist Jacob Bekenstein was the first to suggest that black holes may have the same weird properties, but this theory had to be tested. The research itself was aimed at finding a connection between quantum particles and black holes. The researchers created a computer structure in which they placed a simulated quantum particle directly outside a giant simulated black hole. And in the end, this analysis showed that, yep, black holes could also exist in several states at once. For example, they can be incredibly massive and at the same time have no mass at all. And each of these mysterious space gates can have several masses at the same time. The modeling showed that these superimposed masses were, in fact, in certain determined bands or ratios, as predicted by Bekenstein, said the physicist Magdalena Zeik, referring to the study. It's not really clear yet what it all means, and this discovery alone hasn't brought us much closer to understanding how our universe works, or what happens inside black holes. We have realized only one thing. Everything around us is much more complicated and more fantastic than we think. Who knows? Maybe black holes are portals between these parallel universes. At this stage, it's impossible to disprove this. In other words, the universe has once again shown us that it is stranger and more mysterious and fascinating than we could imagine. Let's hope that in the future, we'll be able to understand at least a bit of what's going on in it.
Evolution here to stay, or is it merely a trend? Well, let's think about this, shall we? Think of 3D printers as sandwiches. Instead of putting layers of food ingredients, put one layer of some substance over another. The printer knows what to do based on a computer-aided design. The 3D printing journey started in the late 1980s, although different people and companies invested in 3D printing before Charles Hull. He is known as the first one to create a prototype and get the patent. It would have cost you around $300,000 to get a 3D printer back then. Today, you can get an advanced 3D printer for a substantially lower cost, around $1,800. I mean, there are even $49 3D printers available, so the scope is vast. Okay, but how did 3D printing become something common instead of remaining an inaccessible technology? Because the patent entered the public domain in 2009. Then more companies were able to create a variety of 3D printers. Ultimately, the technology became more accessible. As the cost of 3D printers declined, the demand increased. 3D printers were commonplace in homes and businesses already in the 2010s. People became free to create new products on their own without relying on companies. In today's world, 3D printers are used in many cool ways. For instance, scientists make 3D printed limbs and kidneys. Let's take a closer look at some of the fascinating things made with this tech. It's possible to 3D print a house. Yeah, these machines can use different substances such as bioplastic, concrete, or clay to build structures. A company named Alquist makes affordable, sustainable, innovative homes using 3D printing technology in rural areas. The houses vary in size from 1,300 to 1,500 square feet. There are single-family, multifamily, mixed-use, and senior living homes. In Germany, the construction of the first ever fully certified 3D printed house is completed. Another example is from a Chinese company called Winsun. They built a 5-story residential apartment building. Scientists can create human biotissues with the help of 3D printers. Now, listen up. In one lab, for instance, they made a human ear from the patient's cellular components. So, 3D printing is both fascinating scientific progress and the opportunity for people to create cool stuff. Thank you, consumer-friendly 3D printer manufacturers, for opening the gate to accessible 3D printers. Here's a woman who 3D printed a cast so that she could take a shower while still wearing it. A fun example? A Pokemon ball. This one is the result of a family experiment. They built a life-size droid. Turns out droids are quite big. This person 3D printed a model of their colon using data extracted from an MRI scan taken before the organ was removed. A gift to their surgeon for saving their life. I'd have loved to see the doctor's face when he opened that box. MRI scan data is quite popular among people. Here's another example. This time, it's a brain. Who wants to make a 3D printed maze? This person started this project by 3D printing the model after using a plastic called PLA. Then he coated it 10 times with a ceramic material. After that, he went through other processes like melting bronze. In other words, he used 3D printing to start the maze, but made it cooler by using other materials. Welcome to the Uncanny Valley. A South Korean 3D printing and design service provider has mass-produced several ultra-realistic robots. The humanoids were made for an installation for a local designer eyewear brand. The Metatronic artwork is designed to simulate a robotic assembly line at a factory. Researchers in Ireland 3D printed objects using cheese. They put easy cheese on the printer nozzle and printed cheesy designs with it. Unfortunately, the designs were mostly flat because, cheese isn't the most permanent printing substance. Chocolate, on the other hand, is great for 3D printing because it can be layered while melted and then easily hardened. There are now several companies that sell 3D printed chocolate. Another edible printing idea is pizza. A printer was equipped with 3 nozzles that dispensed liquid dough, tomato sauce, and cheese. In under 5 minutes, the pizza was ready for baking. Researchers said they could even control how crispy the crust was, thanks to the 3D printer. These are real foods, but how about synthetic food? Are we there yet? NASA has funded an initiative to print food that astronauts could eat in space. Experts say that the food's taste is still not very appealing, but the idea has potential. Imagine what it would be like to start printing food at home. Wearing a 3D printed bikini is now an option. Textiles are very difficult to print, yet one company made it possible. They made the bikini using a material called Nylon 12, which is strong, flexible, and waterproof. The company also prints some shoes. A 3D printer has printed a 3D printer. I mean, the machine didn't print the entire thing at a time, but people have printed all of its individual parts, and then they put all the pieces together. Here is a 3D printed titanium trail bike that was built in the UK. Imagine a time when you'll put a 3D printer in your garage and print your customized bike. An idea that supports a more sustainable world. You can easily collect rainwater with this small apparatus. The product slots into the drain pipe. It has a small mechanical filter that keeps leaves or dirt from blocking the drain. Now, if you like taking pictures, this might be for you. Why not print a camera instead of spending money on it? All you need is a Mamiya press lens. Then you can print out the rest of the pieces and assemble them. You can even find the instruction. You just need to download a PDF file, then arrange the settings of your printer accordingly. Let's cross the world's first 3D printed footbridge in Europe. Researchers and engineers at Imperial College London were able to 3D print this bridge. Using it, pedestrians and cyclists can go to the other side of a canal in Amsterdam. The bridge is almost 40 feet long. The next one is for Game of Thrones fans specifically, a 3D printed door stopper with the word Hodor, like in hold the door, I guess. This kitten has customized 3D printed wheels, the perfect little setup to help. This is a 3D printed electric violin. Captain America's shield can also be printed, because why not? Taking a shower with this 3D printed T-Rex skull shower head might probably be interesting. The next one is a Formula One car, but this one is super tiny. What about 3D printed art? An artist uses 3D printing to create classical sculptures with a touch of surrealism and some contemporary themes. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, discovered how to 3D print solid objects from liquid and light. They used a gooey amount that transformed into a harder matter when it was exposed to a certain amount of light. The scientists used light beams to sculpt figures within the liquid. It's easier to print bendable items with this technique. Plus, the objects printed out this way turned out smoother than other things 3D printed with the help of...
You're traveling by train and hear the wheels banging against the tracks, but suddenly the train rises and gains altitude. None of the passengers scream in panic because this is a regular thing now. Well, maybe not yet, but it might become our reality anytime soon. Aka Technologies Company is developing such a project. Their goal is to reduce travel time and make trips more comfortable. To travel today, you need to get to the airport, spend a few hours there at the check-in and security check. And only after that can you board the plane. When the plane lands, you need to go through standard airport procedures again and then get to the city. Only after this, your trip is over. It means you use at least 3 different types of transport. But with Link and Fly from Aka Technologies, you can get to your destination without any transfers. This is a train the size of an Airbus A320. It's as long as 4 school buses and can hold about 162 passengers. Since it's a train, it can run on the subway tracks right to the city center. So when you begin a trip, you just need to get to the nearest subway station. Once you're on the train, it takes you to the nearest airport, and there, the fun part begins. The train makes a quick stop to get the wings and jet engines attached. So now, your train has a wingspan as wide as a soccer field. The engines start, the train accelerates and takes off. After the flying train lands, the wings get detached again, and you're on your way downtown and your destination, with no transfers. Without having to wait for a cab, and again, you can get off at any subway station. Transformer planes that can drive around the city are the distant future. For now, this company is developing a simpler solution to reduce airport overloads. Instead of having a plane parked right next to the gate, passengers will board the plane's fuselage right inside the airport's building. The fuselage will then pull out onto the runway, and the wings with the engines, as well as the cockpit with the pilots, will be attached. Here you go. The plane is ready for takeoff. This system will make boarding and takeoff 30 minutes faster than before. The company plans to make different types of removable fuselages. For short flights, they will have a capacity of about 160 people. There will be double-deck cabins for long-haul and higher-capacity flights. VIP cabins can be customized like a private jet, and if all the seats are removed, the cabin can be used as a cargo plane. Link and Fly has a special safety system in case the cabin separates from the wings during the flight. 3 parachutes at the front and 3 at the back of the cabin will deploy automatically. There are also braking rockets that can help to quickly reduce the speed. This way, the fuselage will descend slowly and safely. A few seconds before touching the ground, the cabin will launch airbags attached to the bottom of the fuselage for the softest possible landing. Another option for traveling faster is the Airbus Pop-Up. It's a kind of taxi that can travel by road and by air. In the future, you can simply order such a cab from your tablet, phone, or even smart glasses and wait for the vehicle to arrive. The car itself consists of a passenger pod half the size of a modern sedan. It can hold 2 people and has a futuristic design and interface. The second part is the ground module. It's the chassis and wheels for driving on conventional roads. You get into the pod, and after that, artificial intelligence does all the work for you. It steers the car safely and takes you to your destination. When you get out of the cab, the pod with the ground module is sent to the nearest charging station. For convenience, charging stations will be located throughout the city, so you won't have to wait long for a cab. But if your destination is far away, a more interesting ride awaits you. Like in the first case, you get into a pod on wheels. The ground module takes you to the nearest takeoff site. There, the capsule gets attached to the air module. This thing looks like a giant drone. It hooks the passenger capsule and flies up, separating the pod from the ground module. Now, it's a flying cab. You can enjoy the beauty of the city from above. When you land on a special platform, the pod reconnects with the ground module, and you proceed to your destination, while the air module charges for the next trip. Rockets might be another revolution in long-distance travel. For now, we use them to fly into space, but in the future, they might completely replace airplanes. Let's say you're going from New York to Shanghai, which is on the other side of the planet. The launching pad of the rocket can be on the water, somewhere in Lower Bay. You board a ferry that will take you to the rocket. Once you reach it, you take your seat along with the other passengers. Countdown. Ignition. The rocket takes off and reaches space. It's now traveling at about 16,800 miles per hour. When in orbit, the launch vehicle undocks from the passenger rocket and heads back to the landing station. There, it will be refueled and prepared for the next launch. At this time, the rocket with the passengers will use its own engine to fly around Earth. It re-enters the atmosphere and lands on a platform on the water near Shanghai. This flight takes only 39 minutes compared to the 15 hours a conventional airplane needs. But there's a downside to such trips. A rocket makes a lot more noise, so landing platforms have to be far away from the cities. This will increase travel time. The other problem is G-force. Standing on the ground, you feel 1 G. When you take off in a normal airplane, you feel about 1.5 G. But when you travel by rocket, the G-force you'll experience will be twice as strong, and if it reaches 5 G, you'll pass out. Back to the ground. In 2010, the number of cars in the world exceeded 1 billion, and by 2030, this number is expected to double. So, we need to fight constant traffic jams on the roads. The elevated bus could be a great solution for that. This thing doesn't actually look like a bus. It's 2 lanes wide and can consist of several cars. Such a bus will be able to carry up to 1,200 passengers at maximum capacity, and it will run on regular roads. We'll need to equip the roads along its route with rails on both sides. The elevated bus itself will move at about 6.5 feet above the road. This is comparable to riding on the second floor of a London double-decker bus, and it won't interfere with traffic on the road. Regular cars will still be able to drive there. The elevated bus will be all electric and driven by autopilot. Its roof will have a large area entirely covered by solar panels. On cloudy days, it'll be powered directly from the rails. Passenger boarding will take place at special stations located above ground. For emergencies, there will be an inflatable ramp light in the middle of the bus. This way, passengers will be able to leave the bus safely. Some concepts of such a bus even suggest that the racks with the wheels should be able to rise, for example, to bypass an obstacle. If some car breaks down right in the way of the elevated bus, it'll lift one wheel rack, move forward, and lower the wheels back onto the rails. Then it'll do the same with the rear rack. This way, the bus will be able to move around the city at about 37 miles per hour. It's faster than driving in a traffic jam. Another option to avoid traffic is tunnels. You would be able to travel through them in your own car. A hypothetical tunnel system under large cities would have multiple entry points. You'd drive your car onto a special platform, and the platform would then be lowered down. It would accelerate in the tunnel to 124 miles per hour. You'd be able to get to the other end of the city in just a few minutes. The platform would then lift your car back to the surface, and you'd keep driving to your final destination. Tunnels can also be the future of traveling between cities. First, you'd have to arrive at some sort of a train station. There, you'd board a passenger pod. These pods would hold 4 to 6 passengers. Then it'd follow the tunnel, dock into a pod cluster, and connect with the transporter capsule. Special pumps would suck the air out of the tunnel, and the transporter capsule would move in an almost complete vacuum. Theoretically, this train would be able to reach speeds that are faster than those of commercial airplanes, and even faster than the speed of sound. So you could get from New York City to Los Angeles in 3.5 hours, compared to 6 hours by a conventional airplane. After reaching its destination, the transporter capsule would open, and the passenger pods would arrive at the station. In the future, these pods would be able to travel even on conventional roads. So you just need to order such a passenger pod to your home, just like a cab. This way, you'd have the opportunity to cross the United States from coast to coast without any transfers.
Everyone was in awe when they saw the Tesla bot up and dancing on stage. The concept of the robot is to help out humans with everyday boring tasks, like buying groceries, cleaning your house, and mowing the lawn. It can also take on some challenging tasks, like fixing your car or preparing a meal. But on the flip side, you won't see it doing all the routine tasks all the time, since it's aware of what it's doing. Tesla cars have some of the best software in the world, with incredible AI technology for navigating and self-driving. Besides their fancy look, they don't emit toxic chemicals like regular cars. They're extremely fast and can connect to your phone and help you out with many tasks while you're on the road. They build the cars using state-of-the-art technology, and they're very durable. But Tesla is more than a car company. Technically, it's also a software company. The self-driving mechanism takes data from the real world in real time and uploads it to their servers. So when many Tesla cars are on the road, they're constantly updating the maps and intelligence for any Tesla out there to pick up this new info and apply it while self-driving. So if your Tesla is on self-driving mode and you run over a pothole, it'll save that incident for other Tesla users to warn them about it. The AI is good enough to follow routes and navigate through traffic. It can even sense pedestrians on the sidewalk, or if they're crossing the road without looking. It can also avoid certain obstacles around and park itself in tight spaces by analyzing its surroundings. So the whole system relies on humans to constantly update it for the AI to grasp what's going on. This is how the Tesla bot will also operate. It will do daily tasks and learn from certain mistakes it might make. The robot is equipped with many cameras and sensors to balance itself out while standing on its 2 feet. Tesla cars are basically just supercomputers on wheels. You could even consider them to be a robot manufacturing company before the announcement of the Tesla bot. It's almost 6 feet tall, weighs 125 pounds, and has a screen as a face. Anyone can easily outrun it since it can only move at 5 miles per hour. It can carry no more than 45 pounds, but it can deadlift around 150 pounds. So it can easily carry something like a couch without breaking its back. And since the AI relies on learning, it'll undoubtedly be exceptional at doing small tasks that don't require much to get the hang of them. It'll observe what items to take and place in a shopping cart while grocery shopping. It'll probably know what brand of milk you like specifically and pack the good fruit and veggies. It may even conduct purchases and know how much to spend on a certain budget. And for house chores, it can probably learn how to do the dishes and tidy up without breaking something or even misplacing some of your things. If you own a Tesla car, then no doubt, the bot will be in the same software ecosystem as all Tesla products. You can get updates from your car using your bot as a personal secretary. Some countries already adopted AI operating systems to handle day-to-day phone calls from people. You can pick up the phone and have a full conversation with an AI agent, capable of helping you solve any issues you have. They can handle thousands of callers without anyone having to wait for hours to be connected to a human agent. They also learn from every single call and compile it into a proper script for them to communicate and help everyone out. Chatbots are just as useful in collecting data from people to help them with their needs. So the Tesla bot can learn what bothers you or what makes you happy or sad. You might be able to have a morning conversation with it like talking to a real person. And based on the AI learning systems, it can adapt certain gestures and movements similar to stuff humans do without realizing. Any investor hearing this would take out their wallet and throw so much money trying to make this reality. But there's plenty of loopholes in a humanoid learning robot. They can pose a threat to cybersecurity, since they can have access to all your personalized data and codes for your bank accounts or other important and delicate things. Some cyber criminals might want to modify the bot in a certain way to make it go faster or lift heavier objects. Giving the robot such strength might backfire and cause harm to anyone nearby. Even if the intention is good, the robot might respond in a different way, which will cause many scandals. Since much of Tesla's software relies on human behavior and the environment, fiddling with a robot to your personal needs can spell disaster. Elon Musk himself pictures humans merging with robots in the future, carving a path for our evolutionary descendants. In such a human-robot world, technology will be like the air we breathe. These bots could be the first ones to colonize Mars. After perfecting the bots to respond to humans and even make decisions, these robots can go on non-human expeditions and possibly be the first to land on other planets. SpaceX, which is another company founded by Musk, has been focused on bringing humans to the moon and then from there, sending them to the Red Planet. These bots can land on the moon without risking the lives of any human, and they'll already have the capability of handling themselves and get straight to work. Some bots could be specialized for certain tasks, like flying the rocket, engineering, or studying the ecosystem on Mars as scientists. Humans already had robot explorers roaming the surface and taking amazing images. But these robots can possibly do more and mimic what it's like for a human to walk on the surface of Mars before anyone lands there. They can record the sensations and send them back to Earth for us to observe and prepare for when humans arrive. They'll begin the construction of buildings for humans to live in and create an ecosystem. And by the time the construction is complete, humans would already be on the way to Mars to start a new life. The bots can walk in the open air and be the physical labor needed to build the foundations. These robots can even take control of imported machinery to excavate the ground. Proper vehicles designed for Mars can do things quicker than what we have at the moment. Technology will be so advanced by then that it may even seem like you're living on Earth. In an assembly line at a factory, the robots themselves aren't designed in human forms to operate the machines and assemble the pieces together. Rather, the robots are built to work on something specific. It wouldn't make sense to build a humanoid robot to drive a car and call it a self-driving car. They built the Tesla cars we know today. Same as having a humanoid robot operate the machines in a factory. The robot arms in the factories can do it perfectly. So the robots that would land on Mars will most likely be designed for certain tasks. A robot that's good at excavating will probably have a bulldozer appeal, but on different scales. Just like the robots that can fly to Mars will be specifically designed for flying. Tesla created a lot of buzz with the announcement of the bot. Even if nothing happens in the future, people are already talking about them and sharing articles and videos of that robot dancing.
The year is 2045. You arrive at the airport and get your face scanned with a biometric device that replaces your ID or boarding pass. Friendly robots pick up your luggage and direct you to your gate. You do some duty-free shopping in virtual reality and get in line to board the Flying V. You've picked your favorite seat in the second cabin. In there, you can choose between a staggered seat or a bed, even in economy class. You're walking past the group seat section, where friends and colleagues can spend time together face-to-face and discuss things. You're on a long-haul flight today, so you went for a bed to get all comfy on your way to your destination. With the Flying V, you can't choose to sit over or by the wing because all the passengers sit right in the wings of the plane. The cargo hold and fuel tanks are also in there. The plane looks like an arrowhead, with two wings stretching out behind the cockpit in a V shape. The oval cabin is pressurized and has an aerodynamic design. Everything inside the plane is made as light as possible. Thanks to it, it's more fuel efficient than other aircraft. The idea of this new revolutionary plane came to a student who was working on his thesis at Berlin's Technical University. It was further developed by the Delft Technical University in the Netherlands and supported by KLM Royal Dutch Airlines. They decided to make long-distance flights more sustainable. The Flying V shares many characteristics with the Airbus A350, the most advanced aircraft as of 2021. It can also seat 314 passengers and take up 1,700 square feet of cargo. It's smaller and shorter than the A350, but has the same wingspan of 213 feet, slightly longer than the height of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It means it can fit in the same already existing gates, runways, and hangars at airports worldwide. It has less inflow surface area, which means less resistance. Less resistance means less fuel needed for the same distance, 20% less than the Airbus A350 to be precise. But it gets even better. KLM plans to make it completely emission-free with electrically boosted turbofans. They also believe they could keep manufacturing costs pretty low compared to other unusual and efficient new designs with unique components. Experts tested a 50-pound, 10-foot scale model of the new plane in July 2020. They controlled it remotely, and it successfully took off at a rather low speed, but had a rough landing. It means there's still work to be done to make future flights comfortable for all passengers, including those sitting close to the side of the aircraft. Airbus has spent months testing another unusually shaped plane. It's just 10 feet wide. That's about 3/4 the length of a Volkswagen Beetle. It looks like a flying wedge and could start a revolution in the aerospace industry, improving environmental performance. They believe the remote-controlled Maverick with a blended wing design has great potential. The fuselage in regular planes is basically useless weight and needs massive wings to stay aloft. With the new design, the whole airframe gives lift. It means the plane can be lighter and smaller and still carry the same weight. One prospective problem with Maverick could be boarding and leaving the aircraft. The wide central section could slow it down, and passengers in the middle would be far away from emergency exits in case they need them. At the same time, it would give passengers additional legroom and larger aisles. Another Airbus invention is an XLR plane with a third fuel tank that will travel up to 10 hours without the need to refuel, or 5,400 miles without stopping. That's 1,000 miles more than other narrow-body models.